how they proved something that changed how the
I'll put
world
the
sees
country on the
Filipino
map.
soldiers forever.
Is it a civil war or is it a fight over terrorism? For 70 years in modern time? Wow. Okay, guys, today we're going to be checking out British commander couldn't believe what 8 Filipino Scout Rangers did. If you're new here, please consider liking, subscribe to the channel, watch the end with me, and let's get right into this one.
United Kingdom. The sun hasn't risen yet. The temperature is 3 degrees Celsius.
That's
That's
really
37
cold.
degrees Fahrenheit. Cold enough to see your breath. Cold enough that your
Like
hands
for
go numb
real.
if you don't keep moving. In a misty forest clearing, 8 Filipino soldiers stand in a line. They're about to face the most brutal military test on
Hmm.
planet Earth, a test that has broken seasoned
SAS.
special forces operators from the United States, broken British paratroopers, broken Australian commandos. A
Whoa.
test where 1/3 of the teams won't even finish. A test called the Cambrian Patrol,
Okay.
NATO's most punishing military.
This is the first time I'm hearing of Camera Patrol, but I do know of the Britain SOS. That is crazy. Like that's one of the most craziest tests I've seen in military, followed by the German KSK. I think the Polish ground too is impressive too, but this I've not heard of before in my life. So let's see what he's talking about.
Challenge. And these 8 Filipinos from a small Southeast
Cambridge
Asian
Patrol.
nation most people can't find on a map are about to shock the entire military world. This is the story of how Philippine Scout Rangers beat 139 elite teams
Hmm.
from the most powerful militaries on Earth. How they did it carrying the wrong equipment. How they did it in terrain they'd never seen before. How they did it using techniques that made British commanders stop and take notes. How they turned a jungle fighting regiment into international legends in just 48 hours. And how they proved something that changed how the
I'll put
world
the
sees
country on the
Filipino
map.
soldiers forever. Wales is a small country in the United Kingdom. Mountains everywhere. Cold, wet, gray skies most
Yeah,
of the
always
year.
grill.
The
The UK is always
Cambrian
grill.
Mountains cut through the middle like a jagged spine. Steep hills, rocky terrain, swamps that can swallow you to your knees, rivers so cold they steal the breath from your lungs. This is where the British Army tests soldiers. This is where dreams of glory die in the mud. Every October since 1959, the British military has held the Cambrian Patrol. It started as a simple marching competition for Welsh Territorial Army soldiers. Walk 70 miles, shoot some targets, go home.
Hmm.
But over 60 years, it evolved into something far more
It's
terrifying.
old. 60 years
Today,
is
it's called
old.
the Olympics of Military Patrolling, the toughest patrol exercise in the world. Teams from 32 nations compete. The United States sends its best. Russia sends
Hmm.
Spetsnaz. France sends Foreign Legion. Australia sends SAS. Pakistan sends Special Services Group. Every elite unit you can
Wait,
name.
does Australia have SAS as the UK? I'm really surprised. I know they practice the same kind of government, but like, I'm really surprised they have SAS.
All come to Wales to prove themselves. The rules are brutal. 8 soldiers per team, 60 kilometers of mountain terrain, 48 hours continuous movement, no sleep, no rest,
Hmm.
32 kilograms of equipment per person, that's 70 pounds on your back. You climb over 1,000 meters of elevation. You descend
Whoa!
1,000 meters in the dark, in the
Whoa!
rain, in the freezing cold. And that's just the walking part. Along the route, you face 16 different military challenges. Chemical warfare drills where you run in full protective suits that feel like wearing
Like,
a
don't they
plastic bag over your
sustain
entire body
damage
while
doing
doing
this? Like,
sprints. Minefield navigation where one wrong step means mission failure. Casualty evacuation where you carry a wound.
when you say one wrong step means failure, like, are they going to be blown into pieces? This is what I don't get. Like, did they sign the NDA like if you die, like you're dead, dead, or like when you step on the wrong stuff, like there's a something like there's a equipment that will make sure that oh you step on the mine, or is it like an actual mine? But if it's a natural mine, like that is crazy, like for real.
Wounded soldier while enemies shoot at you. River crossings where you wade through freezing water up to your chest while keeping your weapons and equipment dry. Intelligence gathering, prisoner handling, artillery coordination, close combat. Every skill a soldier needs to survive modern warfare,
Hmm.
all compressed into 2 days of absolute hell.
Hell.
The judging is merciless. British Army assessors follow every team.
They watch everything. One mistake and your points drop.
Hmm.
Get lost and you fail. Give up and you're done. Most teams that start don't finish. Those that do finish often get just a participation certificate. Only the very best get bronze. Exceptional teams get silver. And gold? Gold is almost impossible.
Hmm.
Only a handful of teams in history have ever earned gold at Cambrian Patrol. The Philippine Scout Rangers had never competed before, never even seen the Cambrian Patrol. But in 2019, the Philippine Army made a decision. Send the best. Show the world what Filipino soldiers can do. So they held trials. Scout Rangers from across the Philippines competed. Hundreds of elite operators fighting for 8 spots. The competition was brutal. Days of testing, endurance runs, tactical exercises, navigation challenges. Finally, 8 men emerged, led by First Lieutenant Junjun Bayudon. These 8 would carry the Philippine flag to
Hmm.
Wales. But there was a problem, a massive problem that nobody wanted to talk about.
Was it?
The Scout Rangers train in tropical jungles, hot, humid,
I was
thick
even about to
vegetation.
say that, like, these people have two different experience. Most of these other military, like, they train in ice. Like most of these European military, like they always train in like ice, like -2, -1 degrees cold. So these other people, the other region, they train in tropical jungles like rainforests and the rest. So how do you expect them to survive in such cold weather in a different terrain? It seems unfair to me, but okay, they sign up for it though.
They fight terrorists in the mountains of Mindanao. They conduct operations in rice paddies and coconut groves. They know how to move silently through dense forest. They know how to survive on minimal food and water in 100-degree heat. They're masters of jungle warfare, the absolute best at what they do. But Wales isn't a jungle. Wales is cold. Wales is rocky mountains with no trees.
Hmm.
Wales is freezing rain and mud and terrain that looks like the surface of the moon. The Scout Rangers had never trained in anything like this. They didn't have the right cold weather gear. They'd never practiced navigation in that type of terrain. They'd never done anything in temperatures that cold.
Hmm.
It would be like asking an
They've not
Olympic
lived in
swimmer
temperature
to
that
suddenly
cold.
compete in mountain climbing. Different world, different skills, different
It's not fair.
everything. The 8 Rangers arrived in Wales 2 weeks before the competition. They stepped off the plane into weather that felt like walking into a refrigerator. The team leader looked at the mountains and realized they were in serious trouble.
Yeah.
These weren't Filipino mountains covered in green jungle. These were bare hills, rocky and exposed, where wind cut through you like a knife. The cold got into your bones. Your fingers went numb, your feet ached, and they had to navigate 60 kilometers through this carrying 70 pounds in the dark, while being tested on skills they'd only read about in manuals. Other teams had been preparing for months. The Americans trained in similar mountains in Colorado. The
Hmm.
British soldiers grew up in this exact terrain.
Yeah.
The
So it's not
European
even
teams
fair.
had cold weather gear that
This is
cost
not
more than a
fair.
Filipino soldier makes in a year. Everyone had GPS devices for backup, even though they weren't allowed to use them. Everyone had the latest night vision. Everyone had experience in this environment. The Filipinos? They had their jungle boots. They had determination. They
Yeah,
had
bravery.
each other. That's it. No fancy equipment, no environmental advantage, no previous experience. Just 8 men who refused to quit and a national reputation riding on their shoulders. The odds were completely against them. International military observers didn't even mention the Philippines in their pre-competition analysis. Why would they? Jungle fighters don't win mountain competitions. That's just common sense. October 14th arrived. 0 dark 30.
Hmm.
That's military speak for very early morning before sunrise. The Filipino team gathered with 139 other teams. American Rangers stood tall in perfect formations. British
Yeah.
paras looked hard and ready. Australian infantry looked like they could run through a brick wall. Russian soldiers stared straight ahead with dead eyes that had seen combat. Everyone looked professional. Everyone looked prepared. Everyone looked like they belonged. The Filipinos stood in their line, shorter than most teams, using older equipment than most teams, quieter than most teams. Some of the other competitors glanced at them and looked away. Just another small nation here to participate. Nobody expected anything special. Nobody except the 8 rangers who had made a promise to each other. We don't care about the cold. We don't care about the terrain. We don't care what anyone expects. We're going to show them what Filipinos can do.
Hmm.
The British commander
I
gave the
like that
briefing.
line.
Scenario based on modern warfare. Enemy forces in the area. Multiple objectives. 60 kilometers, 48 hours. Move out at different times to spread the teams across the course. The Filipino team received their orders. Lieutenant Bayudan studied the map. Terrain he'd never seen in person. Navigation points he'd have to find in the dark. He took a deep breath. Time to prove everyone wrong. Hour 1. The team moved out into darkness. Immediately they hit the first challenge. The terrain was brutal. Not like climbing a Filipino mountain where you can grab trees and vines. This was loose rock and slippery grass. Your feet slid backward with every step. The 70-pound pack pulled at your shoulders. Within 30 minutes, every muscle was screaming. But the Filipinos had something the other teams didn't expect.
Courage.
Jungle training creates different endurance. When
Ooh,
you've
true.
patrolled through chest-deep swamps in 100-degree heat wearing full combat gear, cold mountains feel hard, but doable. When you've climbed
Hmm.
Filipino peaks in monsoon rain carrying even heavier loads, this is just another day at work.
Hmm.
Painful, yes. Impossible, no. Hour 6. The chemical warfare drill. Teams had to don full protective suits and gas masks, then complete tactical movements while breathing through filters. In the cold Welsh morning, this was torture. The suits trapped sweat. The
Hmm.
masks made every breath a struggle. Many teams slowed down dramatically. Some team members started cramping. The Filipinos? They'd done chemical drills in Philippine heat and humidity.
Whoa.
Doing it in the cold was actually easier.
Yeah,
They
like
moved through the drill faster.
if you walk out in the cold and you walk out during the summer, it's two different experience. Like, let me say I can do 30 push-up at a go. It's easier for me in the cold compared to doing it when the temperature is like high, like extreme heat. So I kind of understand that right now.
Than anyone expected. The British assessors made notes. These Filipinos are different than we
Different.
thought. Hour 12. The first night. No sleep. Keep moving. Navigate in
Hmm.
total darkness using only a compass and map. This is where teams started making mistakes, getting lost, missing checkpoints, wasting energy going the wrong direction.
Hmm.
The Scout Rangers had an advantage nobody anticipated.
Because
In the
jungle,
jungle, navigation
jungle is always compass and maps. So like this, they have this one to their own advantage.
Navigation is about reading terrain you can barely see through thick vegetation. You learn to feel the land, notice tiny details, trust your instincts. These skills transferred perfectly to navigating Welsh mountains in the dark. While other teams relied heavily on technology and got confused when landmarks didn't match their
Hmm.
expectations, the Filipinos trusted their training. Read the terrain, trust the compass, move with confidence. They hit every checkpoint perfectly. Hour 18. The casualty evacuation drill. A team member goes down with
Hmm.
simulated injuries. You have to treat them under fire, then carry them while moving tactically to an extraction point. This is where the Filipinos shocked everyone. In the Philippine jungles, Scout Rangers regularly evacuate wounded through terrain with no roads,
Hmm.
no helicopters, just pure human effort carrying brothers through impossible conditions.
Whoa.
They've done real evacuations in combat.
These guys are super
This drill
strong.
was training for most teams.
I
For the
can only just
Filipino,
imagine the training Filipino soldiers have gone through, like the hard work and dedication. Like it feels like I'm watching a movie, but this is just real life.
it was muscle memory. They moved faster, more efficiently, with better tactical awareness than teams with newer equipment and bigger soldiers. The British assessors stopped writing, started watching carefully. Who are these guys? Hour 24. Hallway point. Most teams were struggling, exhaustion setting in, feet covered in blisters,
Hmm.
shoulders raw from pack straps.
Yeah.
Some teams already quit, others were falling behind schedule. The Filipino team, they were exactly on time. But here's what separated them from everyone else. In Filipino military culture, the team is everything. You don't complain, you don't show weakness. You
Whoa.
carry your brother's burden if he's struggling. The 8 Rangers had trained together for months. They knew each other, trusted each other completely. When one man's feet were destroyed by blisters, another carried part of his load without being asked. When another ranger was cramping, the team slowed just enough to keep him moving, but not enough to fall behind schedule. They operated like a single organism, 8 bodies, 1 mind.
Hmm.
Hour 30, the water crossing. Wading through a freezing river carrying all equipment. This broke many teams. The water was so cold it felt like being stabbed with knives.
Whoa!
Your body goes into shock. Your
I
muscles
can imagine
seize
how
up.
cold water
Teams
is and the
stumbled,
forces you're
dropped
moving
equipment.
with.
Some soldiers had to be pulled out by safety personnel.
Like the weather right now is so cold, like it's so cold. So me watching this, I can only feel what the soldiers are feeling. And it's so crazy how people in role for military knowing full well that they're fighting for a nation that you don't know everybody. The only people you know is your friends and your family. Like I respect soldiers a lot, like a lot, because I can't do half or quarter of what they're doing, even in my next life. Like
The Filipinos had never trained in water this cold, never experienced anything like it, but they'd been cold for 30 hours straight already. They'd pushed through everything else. This was just one more challenge. They formed a human chain, helped
hmm,
each other across, kept weapons dry, kept moving. The British safety team stood ready to help. They didn't need it. 8 Filipinos emerged on the far bank, freezing but functional, and kept marching. Hour 36, the final 12 hours. This is where champions are made or broken. Your body is beyond exhausted. You've had maybe 2 hours of sleep total in small naps during brief stops.
hmm.
Your feet are bleeding inside your boots. Your shoulders are screaming. Your mind is foggy. Navigation becomes harder because you can't
Yeah,
think straight. Communication
just want to
breaks down
sleep.
because everyone's too tired to speak. This is where teams fall apart. The Scout Rangers had one advantage that trumped all the disadvantages. They'd fought in Marawi. Some of these 8 men had been there. They'd experienced real urban combat, real bullets, real death. They'd seen friends die. They'd gone days without sleep under actual enemy fire, not exercise conditions. Cambrian patrol was brutal, yes, but it wasn't someone actually trying to kill you. That
Hmm,
perspective changed everything. When your feet hurt so bad you want to cry, you remember carrying a wounded brother through Marawi while ISIS was shooting at you.
hmm.
When you're so tired you can barely stand, you remember fighting for 5 months straight with inadequate supplies. When you want to quit, you remember that you're representing every Filipino soldier who ever wore the uniform. You don't stop. Hour 42, the close combat drill. Teams had to assault a position, clear enemy fighters, handle prisoners, all while maintaining tactical
Wow.
discipline. Most teams were sloppy at this point, too tired to move with precision. The Filipinos had drilled close combat 10,000 times. Muscle memory took over. They moved like they were fresh, smooth, professional, fast. The British assessors were no longer just watching, they were impressed. These Southeast Asian soldiers were outperforming European and American teams that had every advantage. Hour 48, the finish line. 60 kilometers done, every challenge completed. The 8 Scout Rangers crossed together. Not one person left behind, not one piece of
Hmm.
equipment lost, not one checkpoint missed.
Wow.
They'd done it. 48
Impressive.
hours of continuous movement through the most brutal military test on Earth, in terrain they'd never seen, in weather they'd never experienced, against teams with better equipment and more preparation. And they'd not just survived, they'd excelled.
Hmm.
The results came 3 days later.
Excelled
At the awards
against the
ceremony,
best.
140 teams stood in formation. Most would receive participation certificates. Some would get bronze. Very few would get silver. Gold was almost impossible. The announcer called out the bronze medalists. Good teams, solid performance. Then the silver medalists. The announcer's voice rang out across the Welsh training ground. Philippine Scout Rangers,
Woo!
silver medal. Second place out of 140 teams from 32 nations. Only Ireland had beaten them. Only
Hmm.
one nation. The 8 Filipinos
Impressive.
stood at attention as they received their medals. Some had tears in their eyes. The weight of what they'd accomplished hit them. They'd proven something that couldn't be denied. Filipino soldiers are world class, not
Hmm.
just in the jungle, anywhere, against anyone. The British officers congratulated them personally. Other competing teams, soldiers from America and Europe and Australia, came to shake their hands. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. How did you do it? The answer was simple and profound. The Scout Rangers didn't have the best equipment. They didn't have environmental advantages. They didn't have the most preparation time. What they had was Filipino resilience, bayanihan, the cultural value of working together no matter what. They had decades of jungle warfare creating endurance that transferred to any environment. They had real combat experience that made training exercises feel manageable by comparison.
Hmm.
They had absolute refusal to quit because quitting would shame every Filipino soldier before them, and they had each other. Lieutenant Bayudan said something in his post-competition interview that
We're
went
fighting in
viral in
our
military
country for
circles.
70 years.
A journalist
Don't
asked
know how
what
to
made the
quit.
difference.
For real, what is the conf? Is it a civil war or is it a fight over terrorism? Please tell me in the comment section below. I think this is my first Filipino video I'm seeing. I will check many more because I'm exploring countries I don't know anything about. So that's what I'm doing on my YouTube channel right now. So for 70 years in modern time, wow.
He said this: "We've been fighting in our own country for 70 years. We've faced every challenge. We've survived with nothing.
Hmm.
We've won battles we shouldn't have won. That's in our blood. The cold was hard. The mountains were hard. But we're Scout Rangers. We don't know how to quit."
Quit.
The impact of that silver medal cannot be overstated. In the Philippine military, it became legendary. Scout Rangers who weren't even there tell the story to new
Hmm.
recruits. In international military circles, it changed perceptions.
Yeah.
Before Cambrian Patrol 19, many foreign militaries didn't know much about the Philippine Army. After, everyone knew about Scout Rangers. Requests came in for joint training. Other nations wanted to learn Filipino techniques. The Australian Army specifically asked to train with
Oh,
Scout Rangers
that's
on
nice.
jungle warfare.
Which is the
The
SAS.
Americans invited them to more exercises. The British military wrote articles analyzing what the Filipinos did right.
Hmm.
But most importantly, it proved something to Filipinos themselves. The Philippine military is not second
Second
class.
class.
Filipino soldiers can compete with anyone, anywhere. Give them a mission and they'll find a way. The disadvantages don't matter. The obstacles don't matter. The expectations don't matter. What matters
The
is the
results.
heart of a Filipino warrior. And that heart, forged through decades of fighting to protect their nation, can overcome anything. 4 years later, in 2023, another Scout Ranger team went to Cambrian Patrol. They won silver again. Not a fluke, not
Again.
luck, a pattern,
Whoa.
a standard. Philippine
Whoa.
Scout Rangers now have a reputation in
Whoa.
international
Impressive.
military
This is very
competitions.
impressive. Like, again.
Underestimate them at your own risk. They'll show up with older equipment and less preparation time and still beat teams that should
Hmm.
dominate them on paper. Because war isn't won on paper.
Exactly.
War is won by soldiers who
We refuse to
refuse to be
quit.
defeated. The 8 Rangers from 2019 are heroes in the Philippines. They've been promoted. They train new Scout Rangers now. And they tell every new soldier the same thing. You are good enough. You are strong enough.
Enough.
The world might not know it yet, but you'll show them. Just like they did in Wales. Just like Filipino soldiers have always done when given the chance. We don't have the most money. We don't have the fanciest equipment. Back centuries. And we have an absolute refusal to let our nation down. That's the real story of Cambrian Patrol 2019. Not just 8 men winning silver, but an entire nation's
Hmm.
military proving to the world what Filipinos have always known.
This is so impressive. Like, I would say Ireland won them because Ireland is next to UK. They have similar terrain, and trust me, they'll train them all their life. Just like them coming to the Philippine jungle to come and train, they won't be able to survive on those tropical environment, the heat and the rest. Like Filipinos are going to win it like easy, you understand? So the same goes to the Ireland. I'm surprised the SAS didn't actually win it because that's your home. Like Do you know what it means for someone to come to your home and beat you in your own like your own terrain? Like that's so embarrassing. Like to show how impressive these guys are actually are. I'm really surprised the Filipino soldiers have such resilience in them, such courage to keep moving even when their body feel like it has broken off. This is really impressive. Link more videos like this in the comment section for me to see more military videos because like this video is really impressive. Like though it's long, but I really enjoyed a bit of it. Thanks for watching with me, and I hope to see you in my next video. Stay safe and bye for now, guys.